Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to stop the scrolling. I invite you to grab a mug or pull up a chair or curl up on the couch, or maybe you're watching in bed, or maybe it's the middle of the day where you are if you're catching this live. But I want to thank you so much for joining me here on this live broadcast. If you've never caught my live broadcasts before, and this is your first time to see me, I want to welcome you and say hello. My name is Savannah Harden, and by trade, I'm an editor and a writer and a writing coach. I help folks tell their stories and craft their stories and share them with folks, whether it's here on social media or in a published form. But this week has been really interesting. Not quite as newsworthy in some aspects, and it's Mother's Day weekend. So our focus is turned to appreciating our moms, the moms at heart, those mom figures in our life who are super important. Speaking of being a mom, hello, my sweet girl. Good morning, good morning. There's Savannah. And bless her heart, she and her boyfriend are fighting off their second COVID vaccine, feeling kind of cruddy symptoms. So thanks for being here, Bear. I really appreciate it. Speaking of Bear, so today's mug of the day is a mug that I received from my daughter last year for Mother's Day 2020, the one where we were quarantined. Well, here we are. We're still facing issues with the coronavirus, not as severely as we were last year this time, and hopefully you've been able to get your vaccine. I got my vaccine this week, did it on Monday, and was pretty much out all of Tuesday. Felt kind of cruddy. Good morning, Miss Sherry. How are you doing? Good to see you here. Thanks so much. So I'm going to take a quick moment and share this on Facebook because the way that I have to share this, it doesn't give me a lot of time to do this live. Facebook has a few limitations to what they do. Oops, and so what I have to do here, and then do this real quick so that I can invite people in my personal profile and have them join us here and say good morning. So if you are joining live, please do pop in the comments and say hello. Let me know where you're joining from. Hope you have a wonderful mug of something warm. And I love getting to share my different mugs with you each week from my extensive coffee cup collection. But we are focusing in on moms this weekend. Moms of all types, moms who are here with us, some of them live in the broadcast, some moms who are no longer here with us that we remember fondly, some that are not moms but sure have a mothering spirit in them to take care of others, to nurture others, to help others. Moms of all types. So, how was your week? Did you have a good week? You know, we're in the middle of spring. We're starting to feel some tinges of summertime, getting outdoors and doing things. Maybe you're getting outdoors with your family to celebrate your mom this weekend. Whatever you do, I hope you've had a good week. It's been an interesting week, newsworthy wise. I noted a couple of stories. One of them was that we lost a kind of an iconic sort of mom type character, and that was Miss Olympia Dukakis, who played Miss Clary Belcher in one of my favorite movies about moms, and what moms will do is steal magnolias. There are so many great movies about moms, about mother types, about strong mother characters who fight diligently to protect theirs, their family, their loved ones, even others who may not be their children, so to speak, but that mothering instinct is very strong in them to take care of those around them. So we're going to be celebrating all of those ladies today. as we talk about interesting news stories, another news story that kind of really caught me off guard a little bit, made me sort of, because you know me, guys, I have questions, right? So I'm sure you caught the news story about Bill and Melinda Gates, and they're getting divorced after 27 years of marriage. 27 years. I guess they would be a great example of how money really isn't the main thing that keeps people happy, because they are one of the wealthiest couples in the world. And so after 27 years of marriage, of having their own children, and Melinda Gates is from here, right here in Dallas, Texas. I wonder if she's going to be coming back to Dallas and living here. And she can afford to live anywhere. But after 27 years of marriage, and I'm sure it's difficult to be married to someone like Bill Gates, an extremely intelligent man, and a very accomplished man. She's very accomplished in her own right. And yet, what causes couples to drift away and throw in the towel? Is marriage really not something that is seen as a lifelong promise? When we stand and we take our vows when we get married and we promise to love each other, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. And I know some couples write their own vows, and they take that part out. They take that part out, that marriage is not really seen as a covenant per se, more than just an arrangement. And that when it doesn't suit them, I guess they kind of throw in the towel, call it quits, right? Yes, it is sad, Sherry. It really is sad. I was fortunate enough to be married to my first husband for 30 years. And we, of course, our marriage ended because my husband passed away from terminal cancer. And I can tell you that after living that and living that promise, that I was able to bring that into my marriage with Michael now, to my new marriage, with the intent of sticking by him in hard times and in good times, in difficult times and in easy times, in joyful times and in hard times. And it's through those hard times that you grow together as a couple, that you learn to walk through life together and face whatever life throws at you. So, Bill and Melinda, I'm sorry to hear about your marriage ending. I hope that you can end it and not look back with regret or remorse or feeling like it wasn't worth it, because 27 years is a long time to invest in something and then to walk away from it. But let's not talk about those kinds of things. It's Mother's Day weekend. I'm a mom. If you're watching and you're a mom, I salute you, because where would we be in this world without our moms? And for some of us, we may not have a good mom experience. I personally had a difficult mom experience. I was lucky enough to have a great grandmother experience, and my grandmother sort of stepped in and filled in the gaps where my mother was not able to mother me well. And so I was lucky to have strong mother figures in my life who poured into me, who nurtured me, who walked alongside me, and I feel have been able to contribute to the mother that I am now. Didn't know a lot about mothering, was a little nervous when I became a mother, and I remember the day when I held my children for the first time and looked at them and realized, wow, what a gift I had been given to be a mom. Now, of course, when I first became a mom, I was 25 years old. It was 1988. It was in the 80s when we were trained as women to work. And so we've got moms who are working. We've got moms, because of the pandemic, who've had to be mom at home and teacher and working and still support our husbands, right, in their jobs and what they're doing. It's been a tough road these last couple of years for moms. So if you are a mom you're watching me this morning, I want to salute you for the past almost year and a half now that we've had to deal with this coronavirus pandemic and also still maintain our households, still keep our jobs, and add another hat of being a teacher if you have children at home, if you have little ones, or if you have children in all the grades. Children have had to come home and be with their families and stay at home, and mom has had to probably pick up most of the bulk of that teaching or supervising that teaching. So that's been a little difficult. So here's to you, moms, who've picked up that extra hat and juggled it as best you can. I hope you don't feel any uh, condemnation. I know the frustration has increased. I know you're probably worn out and hoping that your life can get back to some semblance of normalcy, that your children can go back to school. But we have children getting out of school this month. May is the month where graduations happen. Moms are trying to prepare for their kids graduating high school or kids that are graduating college. Some moms are getting their daughters or their sons ready to be married and move into their new phases of life. So moms have an interesting job because our job doesn't end when our children grow up. It just changes into a new phase. That mothering heart and that mothering spirit are always there. So let's talk about some fun things. Let's talk about some cool things that some moms have done to not only, um, you know, enhance or add to their lives, but have changed things for the lives of a lot of people. So I want to honor and salute these moms because I thought it would be fun to look at. Oh, well, sweetie, thank you so much. I'm thankful to have you as my girl. And I think as my daughter has grown and gotten older, and because she's 26, we've now moved into a new phase of our relationship. And so that's been interesting to watch and interesting to walk alongside her and help her grow and mature into the woman that she's becoming. So I love you too, sweetie. Well, so we're going to talk about some interesting moms and some things that they have done. I want to salute and give a shout out to all of these moms who are doing some amazing things because if we didn't have these moms, what would we do without them? Okay, so here are some fun moms and some fun things that I thought I would share with you. Maybe some things you didn't know that came from some amazing women who invented and created some things based on what their life was going through. So, for example, in the 1930s, Margaret Redkin had a problem. Her youngest son's severe allergies and asthma made him unable to eat most commercially processed foods. Has that happened to you? Have you noticed that as a mom, as you were feeding your children, and maybe your children had some strange reactions to food or had some allergies? Well, Margaret did too. So she decided to take things in her own hands, literally, by making her own stone ground whole wheat bread. Now, I did this one time when my first husband had his battle with cancer, and we were realizing how certain food additives in the foods were going to counteract the chemo that he was taking. And so the doctors would give me a list of, here are some food brands that you don't want to eat because the additives and the preservatives that are in these things are going to counteract the chemo and possibly make him sicker. And I thought, well, why would we want to eat those foods to begin with? Well, Margaret Rudkin thought the same thing. And she started making her own stone ground wheat bread. So I remember doing this myself with my children. I would get grain from local farmers. I would buy it by the buckets. We had a grain mill and we would mill it down fine, make our own flour. And Savannah and I had many fun memories of baking bread. Well, so Margaret Redkin did the same thing. And her first attempt came out more like a rock, but she kept at it. And eventually she created a delicious, wholesome, whole wheat bread that improved her son's health. In fact, her family's doctor even started prescribing it to his patients. So eventually she approached her local grocery store about carrying her homemade Pepperidge Farm bread. So the name comes from the title of her home, Pepperidge Farm, that was located in Fairfield, Connecticut. And her kitchen experimentation evolved into an iconic culinary empire. Pepperidge Farm bread. How about that? So, thanks, Margaret Rudkin, for creating a wholesome brand of bread that helped not only your son's food allergies, but hopefully has helped a lot of people and a lot of families enjoy Pepperidge Farm bread. Wholesome, created products. So here's another fun invention. Josephine Cochran and her husband William frequently would entertain at home. And after a while, she kind of got bummed out that her dishes were getting chipped. And so she wanted to know, was there a different way with entertaining a lot of families if my dishes, if the people that were helping me with these these parties and gatherings that they were having, that their dishes wouldn't get damaged. Well, she wanted to find a more efficient way to clean large batches of dishes and silverware and things without having her dishes destroyed. This is the idea that became the production of the dishwasher. So Josephine filed for a patent for her idea in 1885 and then worked with a mechanic to build the prototype. According to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, to use water pressure rather than scrubbers to clean the dishes and to have racks built in place so that they would hold the dishes. Now, at first, her invention was used mainly with hotels and businesses who catered to large groups of people, and also because their buildings had the water pressure, right, and the size of the capacity to have these large dishwashing machines. But in the 1960s, that changed, and dishwashers became a household staple. So we want to sip and salute Josephine Cochran for coming up with the idea of the dishwasher, because if you use your dishwasher every day, or if you've ever had your dishwasher go out and you've had to stand and wash all of your dishes by hand, I don't mind washing dishes by hand. But I know that having a family with children and lots of people at my house, I do appreciate having that dishwasher where you could load up, hit the button, and it's all taken care of. And the dishes are not damaged in the dishwasher, right? So thanks to Josephine Cochran for her idea becoming a household item. Another fun invention that came was by Ruth Handler. And she got an idea by watching her daughter play with paper dolls for hours, and her son play with toys that let him imagine that he was an astronaut or a cowboy or a firefighter. So she thought, well, why not make a doll that showed girls that they could do anything and be anything? So on March 5th, 1959, at the New York Toy Fair, Barbie made her debut. And later that year, she appeared in a TV commercial, and 350,000 Barbie dolls were sold. Since then, can you imagine? I mean, Barbie has had all kinds of careers, right? She's been a doctor, she's been a veterinarian, she's been an astronaut, she's been a teacher. I mean, Barbie has changed in so many ways as we've changed over the years. So, Ruth, thank you for coming up with the Barbie doll and how she has changed and adapted to fit the lives and the ideas of all girls around the globe. Your grandson has a corn allergy from cornstarch to corn syrup. It seems everything that is processed. Right. And it's gotten a little better as he is older. Well, Sherry, right? And so imagine that she took that idea. She took that idea and made some experimentation to come up with something that she could not only feed her son, right, but also take care of others. And it became a household product, Pepperidge Farm. So here's something fun. How many of you have used a boppy? You know the boppy pillow? I was able to use mine with my daughter when she was younger, but it wasn't invented until 1989. So I didn't really have a boppy pillow with my son. But Susan Henderson got the idea in 1989 after she got a request from the staff at her daughter's daycare. So the daycare staff wanted parents to provide pillows to support the babies when the staff couldn't hold them, right? Because there was either putting them in a swing or in a high chair or laying them down in the crib. And so the staff wanted, so they would tell. Now, I don't know if I would want my daycare staff to tell me to bring pillows because too many pillows, that can be dangerous, right? But Susan Henderson got the idea for the boppy. So it's a C-shaped pillow, right? It's like a three quarters of a donut. And if you've ever used them, they're amazing because you can sit the baby up, you can put the baby on tummy time and put some toys in front of them. And it's a way to help babies have a little more leverage as they're trying to sit up, as they're trying to learn how to sit up. Well, soon this boppy pillow became the must-have on so many new moms registries. It became useful for moms who were nursing, for playtime, and now it's a common thing. Everybody has a boppy, right? So thanks to Susan Henderson for coming up with the idea and creating something that so many mothers have been able to use. Now, here's something also interesting. You know, we know that speaking of moms and new moms to be, what are some of the first things that we want to give new moms? Well, we want to give them diapers. Sometimes moms want to use cloth diapers, and some want to use disposable diapers. But before there were disposable diapers, there was something called an absorbent nappy. It was created by a young mom named Marian Donovan in the 1940s after she had repeatedly changed her daughter's diaper and realized that she also had to change her clothes and the crib sheets because cloth diapers, as you know, if you don't use something over them to keep them moisture proof, they'll get everything wet and you have to change those. And imagine the laundry you're having to do. So, according to the Smithsonian Institution, one day, Marian Donovan cut up a shower curtain and fashioned it and shaped it and put this nylon-based diaper cloth with fasteners instead of safety pins. So it was called the boater at first because of its unusual shape, but Donovan manufactured and marketed the product herself when company executives expressed doubts that it would ever sell. So in 1951, 2 years after her design became a hit, she sold her patents to the Key Co. Corporation for $1 million. And today, I don't know about you, but I couldn't imagine having leak-proof, not having leak-proof or disposable diapers. Now, there are some moms who want to use cloth diapers. And so they have some now that includes some kind of a lining so that it protects the children's clothing without getting them wet, and they can still have the benefits of using cloth diapers. But thanks to Marian Donovan for coming up with an idea that probably saved her a lot of time because she didn't want to have, wet clothes everywhere, and especially all that laundry. Can you imagine? So we thank you, Marian, for coming up with an idea that eventually came into being as the disposable diapers. Yes, you're absolutely right, Savannah. You're right. Necessity is the mother of invention, right? Right. Thanks to all the creative moms out there, moms who are coming up with ideas and inventing products that we never thought would be possible, and yet they are. Another one that is really interesting. Marie Van Britten Brown had a concern that all parents share. So she was worried about her family's safety, right? As all moms are. They're going to be watching out for their kids. They want to make sure their house is secure. Well, there'd been an uptick in crime in her Queens, New York neighborhood. And if a problem did arise, well, the police response was a little slow. So in 1966, Brown and her husband Albert filed for a patent for the first home security system. It was comprised of front door peepholes at different height levels so you could see, a camera, monitors, a two-way microphone so you could talk to the person outside the door, and it even allowed you to activate an alarm that would let the police, local police, know to come if necessary. So Marie Brown and her husband, 1966, filed patents for what we know to be now the home security systems that we're used to. I don't know about you. We use ours and we love it. We know when there's someone at our front door, they're leaving packages. Our system is able to see all around our house on the grounds, right? So, may not be a practical product that we use, directly with our children, but what a great idea that she wanted to make sure that her family was safe, that her home was secure, and that she was able to call for help when she needed to. Great idea, right? Also, there was another mom, a mom of 12 kiddos. Well, she had her own little flock. But she was also an industrial psychologist. Her name was Lillian Gilbreth, and she was quite the busy woman with 12. Can you imagine? So in the 1920s, together with her husband Frank, she had examined productivity in the workplace. And so after her husband passed away in 1924, she focused her work on households and how to make their time and energy in the kitchen something that would be greatly beneficial to women. So what Gilbert did is she researched and created what would become a number of common kitchen items. One of them would be shelves inside refrigerator doors, right? That the refrigerator door just doesn't open, but there are shelves there to store, right? I'm sure you have them. We store our salad dressing, our jellies, the butter, right? We have butter in ours. What else do we have? Our condiments all fit in the door of the refrigerator, making space inside the refrigerator for other things. But more importantly, she also included something that probably many of us use, and that is the foot pedal trash can. Isn't that so? She came up with, because as we know, moms usually have their hands full. They're moving pots from the stove, or you've got, one baby on this hip, and you're you're trying to do things and you need to throw something away and your hands are full. She invented the foot pedal trash can. And more importantly, more fun, two of the couple's children, Frank Gilbreth Jr. and Ernestine Gilbreth, wrote a semi-autobiographical book about what it was like to grow up with parents who were scientific minded. And that book became the inspiration for the movie Cheaper by the Dozen. So when you watch the movie Cheaper by the Dozen, you see about that story. That's actually inspired by Lillian Gilbreth and her husband Frank, the woman who invented the foot pedal trash can and shelves inside refrigerator doors. Isn't that great? So, yes, it is. It is. You were right. It is the family from the original Cheaper by the Dozen. You got it, Stephanie. You called it. And I just saw your comment pop up. So yeah, isn't that great? Now, for something with a little local feel, I thought I would share this. But if you're familiar with the story of liquid paper, for those of us who still remember using typewriters, this stuff saved our skin. I don't know about you, but I mean, and I love, in fact, I was looking in my drawer when I was talking about it. I have correction tape, right? Do you have any actual bottles of liquid paper? We have correction tape. But in the 50s, there was a single mom who worked as an executive secretary at Texas Bank and Trust right here in Dallas. And she came up with a white water-based tempera paint that could quickly and neatly cover up mistakes on typewritten pages. She had seen a storefront painter doing a similar task, right? He was covering up some. So she got the idea, wonder if I could come up with something that would help me cover up mistakes. You just shared it with your mom, Stephanie? Right. So, well, now you know, right? The more you know. You love those stories, right? You know about the liquid paper story, right? Yes, you're a Monkees fan. Okay, well, yes, that is the connection to that story, Sherry. You're absolutely right. So, so Betty, she had asked, so as she created this, and as other secretaries where she worked started, but she worked her way all the way up to the highest executive secretary position at the bank. And so other secretaries were asking her for some, and she continued to perfect her formula. And she even had her son, who, like as Sherry mentioned, Michael Nesmith, who was one of the lead singers of the group The Monkees from the 60s. She even had her son and his friends pour them into the small bottles. So by the 1960s, liquid paper boomed in sales. She became a millionaire and a philanthropist for women's charities. She sold the patent rights of liquid paper to the Gillette Corporation for $47.5 million in 1979. And at that time, her company employed 200 people and made 25 million bottles of liquid paper every year. Unfortunately, Betty Nesmith passed away on May 12th, 1980, at the age of 56 in Richardson, Texas, which is a suburb just north here of Dallas. And her son, her only son, Michael, inherited half of his mother's estate, which at the time was $50 million. So half of that, he inherited $25 million from his mom, a single working mom who came up with the idea for liquid paper, right? Isn't it amazing? Some of the great ideas that these women have come up with. Of course, my favorite, I saved my favorite for last. Are you familiar with the coffee company called Melita? Melitta? Well, that's actually the name of a lady named Melita Bentz. And she knew how much moms love drinking coffee. And in 1908, she wanted to create a better way to make coffee. So she came up with the idea for paper filters, right? Which prevent the coffee grounds from either ending up in your cup or in the pot, unless you drink French press. Um, this was a way to prevent those coffee grounds from ending up in the cup and hopefully making the coffee taste better. So the best part, not of just her creating the paper filters, but how she created them. So she punched holes through the base of a brass pot, and she placed a blotting sheet from her oldest son's school book, and then which ended up creating a two-part coffee filtration system. How about that? So the company known as Melita, the ones that make the coffee filters, that idea came from Melita Bentz. So Melita, thank you for coming up with the idea of coffee filters, because Lord knows I love to use them. I know lots of people use them. And that was invented by a mom. Those are just some of the fabulous moms who come up with some creative ideas and made some things that we now take for granted. We use them all the time. But great inventions, things that moms have done to make our lives easier. Because, right, that's what moms do. They make our lives easier. Hopefully your mom made your life easier, or your mom is still trying to work hard to make your life easy. But some of us, unfortunately, like I said, have not been so lucky to have our moms in our lives do that for whatever reasons. Maybe we lost them as, young when we were children. Maybe for whatever reasons, our moms did not have the capabilities in order to handle the mantle of motherhood, because it is a job, and it is a job requiring a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. And for whatever reasons, our moms were not able to be in our lives. Hopefully you've had some mother figures, some people who have been those mothering types in your life to give you that sense of accomplishment and that unconditional love that we all need, right? So, I want to share with you the Hawaiian word for mother because, as you know, I love to share my Hawaiian heritage with you and share with you. So, I want to teach you how to say mother in Hawaiian. So, the Hawaiian word for mother is makuahine. Now, the word wahine in Hawaiian means woman, but makuahine means mother. The mom types, those who not only physically give birth to us, but those who are the mothers, the gatherers, the ones who cherish and take care of us and help us grow and become the people that we are becoming, right? So it's so important that we respect and love our moms, pay homage to our moms, honor them. You know, the word mother is in the King James Bible 321 times in 293 verses. So, evidently, the word mother is very important. And of course, we all are familiar, or maybe you're not familiar, but in Proverbs 31, the Bible talks about a good wife and a good woman, like the characteristics of those women who are important in our lives, right? Who display those characteristics and qualities of a good wife and mother. Sometimes it can feel like an impossible standard to reach, but let me just read to you what it says. Because again, and if we take now, this is not a laundry list that you're to check off because if you're a mom, you have to be doing all of these things in order to feel worthy. But it just helps paint a picture of the type of woman, the kind of woman, and the qualities and the characteristics in us that we want to display, not only to others, but to our children, and to teach them as we are leaving a legacy behind for our children. So, Stephanie, you're going to call your mom that all weekend, Makuahine. Makuahine, yes, you can call her that. No problem. So Proverbs 31 says, a good woman is hard to find. Amen to that. Let's just sip on that one, shall we? A good woman is hard to find and worth far more than diamonds. Her husband trusts her without reserve and never has reason to regret it. Never spiteful, she treats him generously all her life long. She shops around for the best yarns and cottons and enjoys knitting and sewing. She's like a trading ship that sails to faraway places and brings back exotic surprises. She's up before dawn preparing breakfast for her family and organizing her day. She looks over a field and buys it. Then, with the money she's put aside, she plants a garden. First thing in the morning, she dresses for work, rolls up her sleeves, eager to get started. She senses the worth of her work and is in no hurry to call it quits for the day. She's skilled in the crafts of home and hearth, diligent in making her home. She's quick to assist anyone in need, reaches out to help the poor. She doesn't worry about her family when it snows. Their winter clothes are all mended and ready to wear. She makes her own clothing and dresses in colorful linens and silks. Her husband is greatly respected when he deliberates with the city fathers. She designs gowns and sells them, brings the sweaters she knits to the dress shops. Her clothes are well made and elegant, and she always faces tomorrow with a smile. When she speaks, she has something worthwhile to say, and she always says it kindly. She keeps an eye on everyone in her household and keeps them all busy and productive. Her children respect and bless her. Her husband joins in with words of praise. Many women have done wonderful things, but you have outclassed them all. Charm can mislead, and beauty soon fades. The woman to be admired and praised is the woman who lives in fear of her God. Give her everything she deserves and lavish her with praise. Now, of course, we know that the Bible was written at a time where women did a lot of those types of things. And if you look at it allegorically, if you look at it sort of figuratively representing, I mean, here he talks about, she's in a good relationship with her husband. They have a good, that bond of trust between them is deep. She's not spiteful. She shops. Shopping is an art form. And if you are a mom and you have children that you're raising and having to buy them things, shopping for good deals, looking for bargains, knowing how to effectively use your money to take care of your family, buy what you need, look for sales, right? Help your husband in that way to keep costs down and keep that efficient. That's a quality that is really important. She's like a trading ship that sails to faraway places and brings back exotic surprises. You may not be a trading ship sailing away to far places, but sometimes you have to get in the car and drive a few ways. Maybe you pick up some fun things along the way, not only for your family, but friends, right? You find unique gifts. She's up before dawn, preparing breakfast for her family and organizing her day. I know that's me. Get up early, get ahead. I used to do that even with my own children. Wake up and get up ahead of them so that I had myself settled so that I could then handle and take on whatever my day was going to throw at me, right? I made it a point to make sure I was up at least an hour before my children. I was up, I was showered or at least dressed, had makeup on, had my clothes on. I was ready to go because, as you all know, with children, once their feet hit the floor and they're going. So here in Proverbs, it's talking about all the kinds of characteristics, taking care of her family, making sure that her children's clothes are in order, right? All of those things. And it's hard when moms are trying to do all of these at the same time, as well as work. Single moms who are not meant to have to carry all the load, right? So to all the single mamas out there who are raising little ones and who are doing this on your own, while working and managing, I got to hand it to you, right? Because you are seen by the Lord as someone who's doing double time. You are having to carry the weight of two jobs. And so my hope is that someone out there who's looking for a good wife and a good mom will see you and hopefully come aside you and help you carry that burden, because you were not meant to carry that by yourself. So, guys, as always, I like to use this segment of the show then to share with you some books and some amazing stories of people who I think you should really check out. There's one story that really piqued my interest this week. I came across her story because she is being nominated for an award. So I want to pull up her picture and tell you a little bit about her. And then I'm going to share some interesting books that I think will be fun that you can get if you are still looking for gifts for your mom. Go into your local bookstores. There's some great books that are out right now, stories that are out there that you can find. Where did my copy of my book go? I think I moved it. Darn it. But I have some other ones right here that I want to show you. So one last story that I want to share with you is a story of a doctor. She's not a big fan of social media. She never intended to really be on social media because she's got to see the downside of what social media can do. But let me share her picture real quick because I want to honor this lady, and I want to share her story with you. And then I'm going to share you a couple of books that I have found that have been very helpful. All right, so we're going to share. Oh, someday I'm going to have a professional producer on my show that'll help me with this. This is a picture of Dr. Ellen Eaton. And I want to share a little bit about her story. So Ellen is a local doctor living in Birmingham, Alabama. She works as a physician at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And she's had to face two battles since March of last year. Not only is she battling the COVID pandemic at work as an infectious disease doctor, but she also has to fight against coronavirus misinformation on Facebook when she gets home. She also has children. You can find her page. It's called Dr. Ellen Eaton Coronavirus Updates. And I will share the link to her page in the comments. I'm going to see if I can get to, Facebook doesn't let me. Facebook is really twitchy when I have to try to share Facebook pages. So I will post the link in the comments after the broadcast. But her Facebook page called Dr. Ellen Eaton Coronavirus Update. So if you're online right now, you can put that in the search and find her page. But it has gained more than 13,000 followers since she has started posting updates at the beginning of 2020. So in February of this year, she was nominated for a COVID-19 Data Hero Award. Um, it is presented by a company called the Data Access, Transparency and Advocacy Group at dataheroawards.org. These are people who are working hard to fight misinformation online. So she doesn't really like social media. She's hoping someday she can delete the page because she's not really on social media. She says, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a blogger. This isn't really fun to me, but I feel a moral obligation to do it. So back in the spring of 2020, when all of this hit, she remembers so much uncertainty, so much information out there. And guys, you've seen it, right? You've seen people posting, they've got YouTube links and all kinds of links. And all of a sudden, people became medical experts beyond the doctors who have worked in infectious diseases for many years. All of a sudden, we had people on the internet who were physicians and experts and sharing information about how to combat a coronavirus pandemic, even though they don't work in the field. So she started posting information on her personal page because she felt there was a void of good data. Now, early on, this was about, the typical things we know, washing our hands, staying home, distancing. And then the conversation moved to masking and vaccinations. So her friends started sharing her information, and then strangers started requesting being friends with her. And so she didn't really feel comfortable about that. So her friend, one of her friends who owns a photography business, showed her how to create a Facebook page because she didn't want strangers having connection to her Facebook profile where she has pictures of her children or personal information that she didn't want to share. So she just got tired of seeing people sharing information about COVID like it, in memes and things like that. She said, this is not about the flu. So she's a physician researcher, and her research is focused on the intersection of mental health and infectious diseases. And she focuses specifically on addiction to opioids, and she works with HIV. So she says, a lot of what we know about HIV and tuberculosis and hepatitis C and all these other infections that I've studied is the foundation for what I've seen and learned about COVID-19. There's a ton of overlap between the research I do around mental health and HIV and what we've seen play out, for example, in rural America with the coronavirus epidemic. So she directs an opioid treatment clinic at UAB, which is the largest HIV healthcare unit in Alabama and one of the country's leading HIV clinics. So, she's dealing with people who know and whose immune system might be compromised because they're dealing with other things. So because of her background, her main point of messaging from the beginning has been protecting the vulnerable people, such as elderly, people who are homeless and are in situations where they don't have access to good medical care. So that's what she's focused on and her page. And so she is receiving an award, a data award, for being someone who's out there on the forefront fighting disinformation on the internet about COVID-19. So Dr. Eaton, thank you. We want to salute you. Congratulations on your award. I'll be sharing information about her and a link to an article that you can access and read more about her. You can access her page at Dr. Ellen Eaton Coronavirus Updates. But I just thought it would be important to share her information because it's women like her who are not only doctors, but they're mothers. They're moms too, who are working to fight this disease and help others be educated and get access to the proper information. So salute to Dr. Eaton and all those out there, our first responders, all of those nurses and doctors who are probably having to spend their Mother's Day caring for others instead of being at home with their families. So guys, I hope that maybe you're getting to spend some time with your family, that you're being able to spend this weekend, even if you're not able to see them in person, FaceTime with them, right? We have the ability to spend time with those that we love and connect with them through tools like this, through Facebook, through YouTube, through live streaming, to connect with folks like that, right? It is wonderful, Sherry. I love finding stories like that about moms who are helping and fighting these things on the forefront, right? So last but not least, guys, getting to the books that I want to share with you. One is the May book club pick for my book club. It's a book called Effortless by Greg McKeown. If you are familiar with the book Essentialism, this is a great follow-up, right? And all mamas would love their life to be a little more effortless, right? So we are reading and discussing this book for the month of May. So I hope you'll pick up a copy. And if you want to join the book club and join us in our discussion, I'll post a link right here on the screen where you can join us. It's not too late. You can jump in and join the conversation at any time. We have our live book club discussions on Tuesday nights. So you can go to ronnaharden.com/contact. Check the box for Through the Pages Book Club and just put a little note in there that you would like to join the book club. We have wonderful discussions on Tuesday evenings about what we're reading and how we can apply what we're learning in our lives, make our lives a little more effortless and at ease. Because what he says, what Greg McKeown says, as high achievers, we've been conditioned to believe that the path to success is paved with relentless work. That if we want to overachieve, we have to overexert, overthink, and overdo. But lately, working hard feels harder than ever. And the more depleted we get, the more effort it takes to make progress. So this would be a great book gift to a mama who is having to deal with all of that and more, right? Effortless. I'm sure she would love to have a book that helps her learn how she can make life just a little bit easier. So you can grab a copy of that. Read along with us this month as we are discussing the book. Maybe you can share that as a gift to someone in your life. Maybe that mom figure or your mom, or just because. Another great book, another gift that I was given by my daughter a couple of years ago, actually, that I have truly enjoyed. This is called The Happiness Project, One Sentence Journal. And it's a 5-year record. And what we do is you go in and you write in here just one sentence, right? One sentence that you can write. Some of them I have missed because I remember looking back in this. Wow, last year about this time, I was doing radiation. So I was writing it down. Day 2, last year, AT&T installing the internet and DirecTV. Long day, but making progress on our move. Day 2 of radiation. So, or looking back on May 6th, 2019, Savannah arrives today. Fun sushi dinner and getting to hear all about Garth and Kaboo Fest. Also, Harry and Meghan have their son. So it's just a great 5-year journal, a way to capture that. There's a mom's version of this that you can find online, and I will be sharing the links to all of this in the comment thread. But this is a fun thing, the Happiness Project, One Sentence Journal, because sometimes moms only have time to write down one sentence about their day. So that would be and it's a great way to look back on 5 years and see what's happened. Another great book that I cannot recommend enough is called One Woman Can Change the World by my beautiful friend, Ronnie Rock. And this book is filled with the stories of women from around the world. Some of them moms, some of them mom figures, but all of them who are designed to be women of influence and impact the world around them. Through powerful and personal stories of women in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and the Caribbean, you'll learn what it means to lead in a world where leadership isn't easy. Ronnie will also teach you how to serve with grace in cultures that aren't always graceful by embracing your God-given physical, emotional, and spiritual DNA. as you discover the lives of real women who are influencing their communities with grace and gumption, even in countries where oppression weighs most heavy. You'll feel inspired to reclaim your God designed influence and impact right where you are. So, the book is called One Woman Can Change the World. And as we've talked about today, with all of the inventions, all of the ideas, there are many women who are doing the very same thing. Because of them, they're changing the world around them and for others. So, guys, I hope that this has brought a smile to your face. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. It's been a pleasure to share with you all of these stories and all of these ideas and the great women who have come through our lives or in life to make things better, more efficient, and more helpful for all of us. So I hope if you're with your families this weekend, I hope you have a fantastic Mother's Day. And if you aren't able to be with your moms today for whatever reason, I hope that you are able to share and relish those memories of the great love you shared with your mom and carry that forward in the days to come. All right. Well, guys, thanks for being here as always. It's a pleasure to share Saturday morning with you and have some coffee. Thanks for spending a little bit of time. If you've been watching live, thanks to all the folks that are watching right here live in the live stream. And if you're watching this via replay, thanks for taking time to just check this out. Share with me your part of your weekend. Have a great Saturday. Have a great Mother's Day weekend. And I'll be back here next Saturday to share more from the editor's desk. Thanks a bunch.